Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we will study unit number 3, subject science. The name of unit number 3 is the lungs. You can see the diagram of lungs. You hardly ever think about breathing unless you are out of breath. You are, however, breathing constantly by taking air into your lungs and then letting it out again. Location of lungs. Lungs are located within the chest and surrounded by the rib cage. You can see the lungs are present here and it is located by rib cage. They are made of spongy elastic tissue. You know that the human body needs oxygen to survive. The lungs gives the body all the oxygen it needs. Oxygen is needed to produce energy from food. Lungs provide oxygen to the body, to the human body, and lungs give the body all the oxygen it needs. Oxygen is needed to produce food. The process of obtaining oxygen from the air and using it in the cells to produce energy is called respiration. So process of obtaining oxygen from the air and using it in the cells to produce energy is called respiration, and lungs do the process of respiration, breathing. So location of lungs is the lungs are located within the chest and are surrounded by the rib cage. They are made of spongy elastic tissue. Function of the lungs. The main function of the lung is the process of gas exchange called respiration. Gas exchange. Function of the lungs is the process of gas exchange called respiration or breathing. In respiration, oxygen from incoming air enter, enters the blood and carbon dioxide, a waste gas from the metabolism, leaves the blood. How does this oxygen reach every cell of the body? The different organs of the body work together to perform this task. So, function of the lung is the process of gas exchange called respiration. In respiration, oxygen from incoming air enters the blood and carbon dioxide, a waste gas from the metabolism, leaves the blood. Respiration is the process, the whole process of from the air, obtaining oxygen from the air and using it in the cells to produce energy is called respiration. Obtaining oxygen from the air, obtaining oxygen from the air and using it in the cells to produce energy is called respiration. Human body needs oxygen to survive. The lungs gives the body all oxygen it needs. Oxygen is needed to produce energy from food. How does this oxygen reach every cell of the body? The three main organs involved in respiration are the air passage, the lungs, and the diaphragm. The air passages, the the lungs, the diaphragm are responsible, are involved in respiration process. Now, Today we studied the lungs. Do the job of respiration. Do the job of respiration. Process of obtaining oxygen from the air and using it in the cells to produce energy. Lungs are location of lungs. Lungs are located within the chest and are surrounded by the rib cage. They are made of spongy elastic tissue. Function of the lungs. The main function of the lungs is the process of gas exchange called respiration or breathing. In respiration, oxygen from incoming air enters the blood and carbon dioxide, a waste gas from the metabolism, leaves the blood. Human body needs oxygen to survive. The lungs gives the body all oxygen it needs. Oxygen is needed to produce energy from food. Organ involved in respiration. Air passages, the lungs, diaphragm. Now we will go into detail of air passages, lungs and diaphragm. Air passages, air passage, air passage. The air you breathe in is not always very pure. It needs to be clean, moistened and warm before it reaches your lungs. The air you breathe in is not always very pure. It needs to be clean, moistened and warm before it reaches your lungs. The nose and trachea are the air passages that perform the job of cleaning, moistening, and warming the air. In air passages, air you breathe in is not always very pure. It is clean, moistened, and warmed. The nose and trachea are the air passages that perform the job of cleaning, moistening, and warming the air. The nose and trachea have tiny hairs called cilia and a sticky substance called mucus. The mucus trap dust particles and some bacteria present in the air. The cilia act like tiny brooms to sweep out dust caught in the mucus. They help keep the lungs clean. They carry the dust back to the throat. Cilia act like tiny brooms to sweep out dust caught in the mucus. They help keep the lung clean. They carry the dust back to the throat. You can get rid of the mucus by coughing or sneezing. By coughing or sneezing. Diaphragm. This is the sheet of the muscles which separate the lungs from the abdomen. This is this is the sheet of the muscles which separate the lungs from the abdomen. This sheet, this sheet is called diaphragm. It helps the lungs to expand and contract when breathe in and out. It helps the lungs to expand and contract when you breathe in and out. As you can see that it is expanding and contracting, just pushing the rib cage. Trachea. Trachea is the tube through which air enters the lungs. This is trachea. This is trachea. This is lungs. This is air particle. Before it joins the lungs, the trachea divides into two branches called bronchi, singular bronchus. Bronchi. Before it joins the lungs, the trachea divides into two branches called bronchi. This is called bronchi. This is also called bronchi. Trachea. This is called trachea, divided into two branches, bronchi. The left branches, bronchi. The left bronchi goes to the left lung, and the right bronchi goes to the right lung. Trachea is the tube through which air enters the lungs. Before it joins the lungs, the trachea divides into two branches called bronchi, singular bronchus. The left goes into the left lung and the right goes to the right lung. Now, the lungs. Today's topic is the lungs. Through the process of respiration. The whole process of obtaining oxygen from the air and using it in the cells to produce energy is called respiration. Lungs are located within the chest and surrounded by the rib cage. They are made from spongy, elastic tissue. Function of the lungs. Lungs. The main function of the lungs is the process of gas exchange called respiration or breathing. In respiration, oxygen from incoming air enters the blood and carbon dioxide, a waste gas from the metabolism, leaves the blood. Human body needs oxygen to survive. The lungs gives the body all oxygen it needs. The lungs gives the body all oxygen it needs. Oxygen is needed to produce energy from food. The human body is made of cells which group together to make tissues. Cells are so tiny they can only be seen through a microscope. Microscope shows that each and every living thing is made up of cells, from the smallest bacteria to the tallest trees. This is the information which is given on the second page of your book, page number 14. How does this oxygen reach every cell of the body? Three, three main organs involved in respiration. The air passages, the lungs, the diaphragm. Air passage. The air you breathe in is not always very pure. It needs to be clean, moistened, and warm before it reaches our lungs. The nose and the trachea are the air passages that perform the job of cleaning, moistening, and warming the air. The nose and the trachea have tiny hairs called cilia and a sticky substance, mucus. The mucus traps dust particles and some bacteria present in the air. The cilia act like tiny brooms to sweep out dust caught in the mucus. They help keep the lungs clean. They carry the dust back to the throat. You can get rid of the mucus by coughing or sneezing. Diaphragm. This is the sheet of the muscles which separate the lungs from the abdomen. It helps lungs to expand and contract when you breathe in and out. Trachea. Trachea is the tube through which air enters the lungs. This is called trachea. This is called trachea. It is divided into two branches called bronchi. The left bronchi goes into the left lung and the right bronchi goes to the right lung. Trachea is the tube through which air enters the lungs. Before it joins the lungs, the trachea divides into two branches called bronchi. The left bronchi goes into the left and the right bronchi goes to the right. Thank you, students. This is today topic is today we studied lungs, uh, diaphragm, the three main organs involved in respiration: air passage, the lungs, and the diaphragm. So do revise. Wish you best of luck.